Most of what you were told about food was wrong. Not slightly off, not outdated, wrong. The 8 glasses of water rule has no scientific origin. Carrots do not improve your eyesight. Breakfast being the most important meal of the day was invented by a cereal company. 20 food myths you have been following your entire life. Here's what the research actually says. Brown eggs are not healthier than white eggs. The color of the shell means nothing. Shell color is determined entirely by the breed of chicken that laid the egg. White chickens lay white eggs. Red or brown chickens lay brown eggs. The nutritional content is identical. Brown eggs cost more because the breeds that produce them are larger and eat more feed, which raises production costs. You have been paying a premium for a different chicken. Fresh vegetables are not always more nutritious than frozen ones. Fresh produce begins losing nutrients the moment it is harvested. By the time it travels from farm to distribution center to grocery store to your refrigerator, days or weeks have passed. Frozen vegetables are typically processed within hours of harvest at peak ripeness and locked at that nutritional level. In most cases, frozen vegetables retain more vitamins than fresh ones sitting in a produce aisle. The assumption that fresh automatically means better has no nutritional basis. Searing meat does not seal in the juices. This is physically impossible. The idea that a seared crust creates a moisture barrier has been tested and disproven repeatedly. Seared meat loses moisture at the same rate as unseared meat. What searing actually does is create a chemical process that produces the brown crust and the flavor you taste. The result is better taste, not trapped juice. The sealed juices myth has been in cookbooks for over a century, despite being demonstrably false. You will not get cramps from swimming after eating. This rule has no medical basis. The theory was that blood diverted to digestion would leave your muscles without enough supply to function. In practice, the human body has more than enough blood volume to handle both simultaneously. No controlled study has ever documented exercise-induced cramps caused by eating beforehand. The myth was likely spread by cautious parents and became accepted as fact through repetition. Competitive swimmers eat before races routinely. Nobody is cramping. Drinking 8 glasses of water a day is not a medical recommendation. Nobody knows where it came from. The closest origin researchers have found is a 1945 government nutrition document that suggested people consume about 8 cups of water daily, but included a line noting that most of that water comes from food. That line was ignored. The 8 glasses rule spread on its own and became accepted as medical fact without a single clinical study ever confirming it. Your actual hydration needs depend on your size, your activity level, and the climate you live in. Your body tells you when it needs water. It exists for this exact reason. Carrots do not improve your eyesight. They never did. Carrots contain a nutrient your body uses for eye health. If you are severely deficient in that nutrient, eating carrots can help correct the deficiency. But if your levels are already normal, eating more carrots does nothing for your vision. The myth was deliberately spread by the British Royal Air Force during World War II to hide the fact that they had developed radar technology. They credited their pilots' accuracy to carrot consumption, so the Germans would not realize they had a new detection system. A wartime propaganda campaign has been shaping grocery shopping decisions for 80 years. Alcohol does not fully cook off when you use it in food. A significant amount stays. According to United States Department of Agriculture data, food simmered with alcohol for 15 minutes retains about 40% of the original alcohol content. After an hour of cooking, roughly 25% remains. After 2.5 hours, about 5% is still present. Alcohol evaporates slowly during cooking and never fully disappears. The idea that heat eliminates alcohol completely is incorrect and has meaningful implications for anyone avoiding it for health or personal reasons. Spicy food does not cause stomach ulcers. The cause is a bacterium. For decades, ulcers were blamed on stress, spicy food, and excess stomach acid. In 1982, 2 Australian researchers identified the actual bacteria responsible for most peptic ulcers. The medical establishment rejected the finding for years. One of the researchers eventually proved the point on himself. He and his colleague won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2005. Spicy food can irritate an existing ulcer, but it does not create one. Organic food is not consistently more nutritious than conventional food. Dozens of studies comparing organic and conventional produce have found no significant difference in vitamin or mineral content. Organic farming restricts certain pesticides but does not eliminate them. The nutritional profile of a fruit or vegetable is determined primarily by its variety, soil quality, and ripeness at harvest, not by whether it was grown organically. Organic food may have other merits depending on your values around farming practices, but paying more for superior nutrition is not supported by the evidence. Microwaving food does not destroy its nutrients any more than other cooking methods. All cooking reduces some nutrient content through heat exposure. Microwaving is actually gentler on nutrients than boiling or frying because it uses lower temperatures and shorter cooking times. Boiling vegetables in water causes nutrients to leach out into the cooking liquid. Microwaving retains more of those nutrients because the food is not submerged. The fear of microwave cooking destroying nutritional value has no scientific foundation, and the opposite is closer to the truth. Coffee does not dehydrate you. The effect is minimal. Caffeine can increase urine production slightly, but coffee is mostly water, and the fluid you consume more than compensates for that minor effect. Studies have found that moderate coffee consumption contributes to daily fluid intake the same way water does. The dehydration myth likely spread from caffeine's properties being overstated and applied to the beverage as a whole. Drinking coffee counts toward your hydration. So does tea. Milk does not build strong bones in adults. The evidence is weaker than the marketing suggests. Calcium is essential for bone density, and milk contains calcium. That part is true. But countries with the highest dairy consumption also have some of the highest rates of osteoporosis. The relationship between milk consumption and bone health in adults is significantly more complicated than the dairy industry's decades of advertising suggested. Calcium from leafy vegetables, legumes, and fortified foods is equally effective. The Got Milk campaign was one of the most successful marketing efforts in food history, and it shaped public health beliefs in ways the science never fully supported. Eating at night does not make you gain more weight than eating the same food in the morning. Your body does not know what time it is. It knows how many calories came in and how many went out. Researchers who have studied meal timing in controlled conditions find no meaningful difference in weight gain based on when the food was eaten. The myth spread because people tend to reach for high-calorie snacks late at night out of habit, not because their metabolism changes after dark. The problem was never the hour. It was always what was on the plate. Celery does not burn more calories to digest than it contains. No food does. The negative calorie food concept is a myth. Celery is very low in calories, roughly 6 calories per stalk, and digestion does use some energy. But the energy used to digest celery is a fraction of a calorie, not enough to create a caloric deficit. No food requires more energy to digest than it provides. The negative calorie myth persists because it sounds logical and people want it to be true. Margarine is not healthier than butter. For decades, it was significantly worse. Margarine was marketed as a heart-healthy alternative to butter, starting in the mid-20th century. It's made from vegetable oils processed into a solid form. That process creates trans fats. Trans fats raise bad cholesterol, lower good cholesterol, and increase cardiovascular risk more than saturated fat does. The American Heart Association spent decades recommending margarine over butter based on research that turned out to be wrong. Many margarine products have since reformulated, but the original heart-healthy claim was based on flawed science deployed in a mass marketing campaign. Sea salt is not healthier than table salt. They are chemically identical. Both are sodium chloride. Sea salt is produced by evaporating seawater and retains trace minerals that give it a slightly different flavor. Table salt is mined and processed, with iodine added to prevent iodine deficiency disorders. The trace minerals in sea salt are present in amounts too small to have any nutritional significance. You are paying more for a different texture and a marketing story, not better health outcomes. Eggs do not raise your cholesterol to dangerous levels. The science reversed completely. For decades, dietary guidelines warned against eating eggs daily because of their cholesterol content. The assumption was that cholesterol in food directly raised cholesterol in your blood. Research over the past 20 years has shown that for most people, this is not how it works. The liver regulates cholesterol production and adjusts based on what you eat. Current nutritional guidance has largely removed the egg restriction. The egg had its reputation destroyed by a hypothesis that turned out to be significantly overstated. Frozen yogurt is not a health food. It is dessert with a better reputation than it deserves. Frozen yogurt is lower in fat than ice cream in most cases. It's not lower in sugar. Many commercial frozen yogurt products contain more sugar per serving than equivalent portions of ice cream. The live cultures present in regular yogurt are largely destroyed during the freezing process, eliminating the probiotic benefit. The health reputation around frozen yogurt comes from its association with regular yogurt rather than from its actual nutritional profile. Dark chocolate is not a superfood. The health benefits are real but consistently overstated. Dark chocolate contains compounds that have antioxidant properties and some evidence of cardiovascular benefit. The studies supporting dark chocolate's health benefits typically use very high cocoa concentrations in small controlled doses. Most commercial dark chocolate products contain added sugar and processing that dilutes those compounds significantly. Eating a dark chocolate bar is not the same as the ingredients studied in clinical trials. The superfood label was built on real science and expanded well beyond what that science actually showed. Breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. That phrase was invented to sell cereal. The phrase is traced directly to Kellogg's marketing campaigns starting in 1917. The company had a financial interest in people believing the first meal of the day was non-negotiable. People who skip breakfast and eat later in the day show no difference in health outcomes in the majority of studies. Eating when you are hungry and stopping when you are full is more supported by evidence than eating at a specific time because a cereal brand told you to. Most of what shaped your relationship with food was not science. It was marketing, wartime propaganda, and assumptions that spread before anyone thought to test them. What food myth on this list did you believe the longest? Drop it in the comments.